Hello Fragrance family, welcome to Fragrance Therapy. I'm your host Alam. Now Aromatix and French Avenue have once again gone gourmand with naughty dates. I'll let you know about the scent profile, the performance, and my overall thoughts. But before we get into that, 75% of my viewers are not subscribed. If you enjoy honest, unbiased fragrance content, this channel is for you. That small act of hitting that like and subscribe button really helps smaller channels like mine grow. Thanks for all the support to those who have subscribed. With that out of the way, let's jump in. So I'm not surprised that this didn't come out with the last 4 releases. Those included Sunkissed, Tease Me, Magnetic, and I think Forbidden Fruit. Those were all more fresh, fruity fragrances, and this one is 100% gourmand. It actually feels closer to something that would have come out with the first batch of releases, and scent profile-wise, I think its closest cousin is probably Xandal. But anyway, first things first, this thing opens surprisingly fresh actually. Bergamot, mandarin, cardamom, but even as it opens, the fresher notes kind of are fighting with the gourmand notes in the mid. You get this really nice dark roasted coffee pushing right through, and I do like myself a good coffee fragrance. I think Mancera and Montal have some really excellent coffee fragrances out there, but here the coffee that they used is even darker. It's like a dark roasted coffee and it's really nice, very bold though. At the same time, you get tons of sweet dessert type notes. I'm talking about honey, dates, cinnamon, hazelnut, and even the dates in here are not your typical dried fruit type of dates, which have a little bit of a muted sweetness. They are uber sweet, like syrupy almost. Even in the deep dry down, you get more sweetness. Sweet ambers, caramel, vanilla. Heck, even the woods have this like kind of sweet creaminess to them. To me, this fragrance is kind of 3 parts battling for dominance. There's that fresh opening, there's that dark coffee, and then there's those super sweet dessert style accords. And if there was a podium and they were all getting medals, the freshness would take the bronze because it quickly dissipates and it quickly gets taken over by the other two. The coffee puts up a good fight. It lingers throughout the entire fragrance, but it definitely does land second. And those sweet dessert style gourmands win the gold. At the end of the day, they are the most dominant part of this fragrance. One thing I can say is this thing is a monster performer. 9+ hours on skin, monster projection. I'm talking about room filler, choke people out if you're not careful types of performance. This is also a cold weather only fragrance. This will be much too cloying for even the slightest heat. I also think it's a little playful for like formal events. Really good for date nights if you're into these type of fragrances. So with all that said, what are my overall thoughts about this release? Well, the truth is I'm at a bit of a crossroads when it comes to gourmands. There are some that I love. My favorite designer release of the year, which I did a video on, was Strong With You Parfum. Most would classify that as a gourmand because it absolutely is sweet and has this nuttiness with the chestnuts, and I absolutely adore that thing. But there are other gourmands that I just cannot stomach. I did not care for a majority of the Lattafa's Gimme Gourmand fragrances, nor the Arabiat Prestige's sugar releases that they did earlier this year. And what I'm beginning to understand about myself is I don't care for those realistic dessert style fragrances. Things that smell like cakes or cookies, and in this case what Neeb described as date pudding. Very, very dessert style. For me, I just cannot wear those. I can admire them as scents maybe, but I can never see myself actually spraying them on. And because the fresher notes and that wonderful dark coffee lose out to those dessert style gourmands on here, this thing is just not for me. Is it a bad fragrance? Absolutely not. This is exactly what they were going for. And for those people who want to smell like something edible, some type of dessert, this thing is probably going to be a winner. Unfortunately for me, despite some of the notes I'm really liking and the performance being a monster, I can never ever see myself wearing this. But that's okay. I understand that they need to diversify their line. They can't stick to one type of fragrance, otherwise it will get stale. So like I said, they accomplished exactly what they were going for. And from what I've heard, date pudding with cinnamon, this very much is like that. Think of like sitting at a cafe eating date pudding in the Middle East while drinking a nice dark roasted coffee. So it is what it is, not for me, but if you like these type of fragrances, you're gonna love this thing. So there you have it folks, my thoughts on the newest Aromatix release. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on like these dessert style gourmands that seem to be all the rage? And at least this thing has a nice bottle that I don't mind putting up on my shelf. Some of these dessert style gourmands from like Lattafa, they're like, the bottles are so ridiculously gaudy. And also, please hit that like and subscribe button. Like I said, we're trying to reach that goal of 5,000 subs. and your sub can help us get there. And as always, stay tuned for honest, affordable fragrance content. Until next time, I'm out.